With how successful and well-regarded the first game is, it makes sense for developer Bugbear to repeat the early access process with Wreckfest 2. Out now on PC via Steam, the sequel promises more realistic crashes with enhanced physics and higher fidelity. The problem? It has quite a ways to go, even by early access standards. Not much content. When playing through the beta preview version of Wreckfest 2 before its early access launch, I was concerned about the content available. Bugbear already confirmed that a revamped career mode will arrive later at some point in early access. So what's there instead? Quick race on a single track, the ability to set up a custom race, multiplayer matchmaking, and a server browser. You can also customize the colors of the 4 available cars. That's pretty much it. Tracks. Surely the number of tracks makes up for the low number of modes and cars, right? Well, Wreckfest 2 does feature 4 locations: Savolax Sandpit, Speedway, Scrapyard, and Testing Grounds. Some have different layouts. Savolax has a reverse track variant, while Speedway has race, derby, and figure 8 layouts. Similarly, the Scrapyard has the main route and Bonebreaker. Overall, there are 8 in total, but the problem is that some carry over from the first game, so longtime fans will feel a sense of deja vu. I'm not going to tell you how much content it should have by early access standards. Just know that this is the amount available from the outset if you're getting in on the ground level. Custom Race. Since Single Race only offers a single track, Scrapyard, with one configuration, you'll want to go to Custom Race for some actual variety. This is where you can choose a different track and adjust several different aspects like the class of your opponents, the number of laps, how long it takes for your car to reset, car damage, the time of day, and the number of racers. The traditional racing mode is called Banger Racing, which essentially involves racing around the track and crashing into your opponents with impunity. You're still trying to place higher than them, but there's a neat little score that keeps track of all of the ramming, T-bones, and crashes. Demolition Deathmatch. Alternatively, you could go into Demolition Deathmatch. Available only on the arena-style maps, the objective is to mercilessly crash into other racers. Each vehicle has a health bar of sorts, though that can get depleted quickly depending on how many different parts get damaged, and how extensively. The player with the highest crash score by the end of the match, or when they're effectively destroyed, is the winner. Among the many maps available, Testing Grounds is perhaps the best place to let loose with those demolition derby urges, as it offers ramps, springs, and a clean aesthetic for admiring the sheer destruction. Car handling. One of the biggest selling points of Wreckfest and its sequel is how its cars aren't the sleekest machines out there. You're controlling some absolute junkers. They feel muscular and strong enough when you get out on the track, their weight reflected in the handling. Upon taking damage, however, they feel like shambling messes, pulling along as if by sheer force of will, yet hanging on by a thread. It adds an interesting dynamicism to races as you struggle, seemingly against all odds, to get this hunk of junk across the finish line regardless of the position. I also liked how the track surfaces would affect handling, alternating between tight and responsive on asphalt or less traction and more sliding on sand. Realistic destruction and crashes. Suffice it to say that those enhanced physics are working overtime without going over the top. Cars can go from relatively solid if beat up to absolutely smashed. Tires fly off, the hood pops up, blocking your perspective while driving in first person, or folds inward, turning the Camaro-like knockoff into something Mr. Bean would be proud of. It's amusing to see just how deformed your car and others can become before it gives out, and the pile-ups involving multiple vehicles can be hilarious. Of course, the physics extends to the environment, with tires on the outside going flying. Some structures can even hang off your vehicle if you run into them. PC performance. While playing the preview version ahead of early access, I was downright mortified at the performance of Wreckfest 2. Fortunately, that's not the case with the current build. With AMD FSR 3.0 enabled, no DLSS, though you can opt for FXAA, MSAA, or some combination of the two, I set almost everything to high at 1440p and saw some pretty good performance to match the fidelity. The performance took a hit during online matches, but nothing too serious that made the racing unbearable. Bugbear has confirmed that the requirements will lower as early access progresses, so things can only improve from here. Changing resolution. Oddly enough, however, you can't set the resolution or enable VSync in-game. Instead, you must launch the game and select Change Settings. This opens up a different window, which lets you choose the graphics presets, which can also be adjusted in-game alongside the screen resolution, aspect ratio, VSync, and windowed mode before playing. Why can't you have these options in-game? I'm not sure, but if you were as confused as to why these options were seemingly missing, that's where to find them. Multiplayer. I can't say I expected much from multiplayer, especially with an all-time peak concurrent player count of less than 3,200 at launch. Matchmaking takes a bit of time, but once you're in a lobby, there's a high chance of waiting until the current race is complete before you can get in. If there aren't enough players, bots will fill in the slots. The overall server stability isn't the best right now. I found myself disconnected both before the race began and near the end. The development team has addressed other issues with online play, but if you're counting on it to fill the void left by the lackluster single-player content, it also feels extremely bare bones. At least the server browser is working well enough. Future updates and conclusion. With such a sparse foundation, when can you expect more content for Wreckfest 2? The first update arrives in 2 months for free, adding 2 new cars and tracks. As for the future, there's little else to do but wait and see. At $29.99, Wreckfest 2 is a hard sell in its current state, and that's even with gameplay elements like the handling and crash physics feeling pretty good. It's probably the best possible advertisement for the original. If you're new, revisiting the past is ideal, especially with how much more content is offered. As it stands, the sequel is neither good, bad, or average. It simply isn't much of anything right now beyond a foundation for what's to come. If you enjoyed the first one enough to support the sequel's development, then by all means, but it will be a while before it reaches some lofty heights. Hey, did you know that we at Gaming Bolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell. And let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.